What's going on, Packers fans? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels after the Packers emerge victorious 23-19 against the Indianapolis Colts for preseason game number 2 here in 2025. A long list of Packers did not participate in this contest. A good long look at a lot of backups, a lot of deep reserves, a lot of guys fighting for spots. And man, early on, I thought the defense held up really well, considering they were going against mostly, if not exclusively, the starters for the Colts. And I know I saw a lot of consternation and hand-wringing on Twitter during the game about what the defense looked like. But considering who was playing for Green Bay and the style of defense they were utilizing against almost all starters for the Colts, that's a pretty good shift for Jeff Hafley's crew. On the offensive side of the ball, clearly the headline coming out of this is going to be about the offensive line continuing to make pre-snap penalties. Anthony Belton in particular getting dressed down by Matt LaFleur as the team headed into halftime due to essentially taking off both a big gain and a touchdown because of a pre-snap alignment. Coming off of last week, that is certainly understandable why Matt LaFleur would be digging into the rookie. But it's something they have to address. There's no doubt about it. And I understand that the officials are a little more ticky-tack during the preseason, trying to emphasize things to get guys to understand that this stuff is going to be looked at and will be called at times during the regular season. But man, those are some inexcusable moments from Belton, who, look, I thought played much better in the second half. Certainly didn't look overwhelmed physically, but these mental errors, these alignment issues, taking things off the board because of it, it's just a bad look for a young man who has a lot of work to do. There is zero question about that. But despite that, or in spite of that, a lot of promising performances, I thought, especially from receivers who were making plays on the ball, but these big gains kept getting called back, whether it was Julian Hicks. You saw Ben Sims have a touchdown taken off the board. Cornelius Johnson, I thought, had a number of really nice plays. And look, I don't doubt for a moment that people will be picking apart this game, but ultimately the most important thing is injuries, or hopefully a lack thereof. Unfortunately, there seem to be a few. I don't know what the extent of any of these will be, but I know we saw Baron Sorrell go into the medical tent. He was listed with a knee injury after the game. Marshawn Lloyd did appear to get banged up on that big wheel route up the right sideline. An incredible play, great explosive play. But you hate to see him getting up slowly after that. And then Omar Brown being taken off on a cart with a gas mask, essentially an oxygen mask on. You don't love to see that. We'll see what the official designation is there. Outside of those three, I think those were the major ones that you saw in a game that saw both sides get banged up. The Colts were losing guys almost every drive there in the first half, and that's what you hate about preseason, but it is a necessary evil. And the Packers come out victorious. And I thought, like I said, a lot of good stuff put on tape from the offense and the defense. And now we get to spend all week picking that tape apart as we get ready for the preseason closer at Lambeau next Saturday against the Seahawks. I'll let everybody in the comment section. So good to see everybody. Sherry Carlson, shout out. Thanks for becoming a Carry the G Club member. Greatly appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Go Pack Go, what's up? I told you, expect wins. Welcome to Entitled Town. Very good. Now, had Woods come down with that one at the end there, does that change your opinion? Are you much less excited? No, of course not, because it's preseason. All is well. Abdul, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Hey, Aaron, any starters in danger of losing jobs? I mean, it will depend on your definition of starter, of course, but to my eyes, not particularly. I think there's been obviously a push by Jordan Morgan over the course of the last 2 weeks in training camp and the preseason game last week. When you're talking about, Rasheed Walker, I do expect Walker to get back into the mix, so to speak. He did do some team stuff their last practice in Green Bay and in the joint practice. So we'll see. I would suspect that's going to come right down to the wire. But that's the only one that really leaps to mind. And obviously, kind of cascading off of that will be what happens at right guard. But, it's really hard to talk about any of the receivers because everybody's so banged up. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. Nate Hobbs has been on the sideline. Xavier McKinney has been hurt, which has offered opportunities to some of the other safeties. But I don't think there'll be any monster changing of the guard, so to speak. Joe Mailman, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Nice wheel route to Lloyd. Keep Christian Welch. Keep Elgersma or Clifford on practice squad. With Willis likely gone next year, it kind of matters. It does and it doesn't. I mean, it may just prioritize quarterback next offseason, right? I suspect Elgersma made a pretty significant case for himself today. I thought outside of there was one play early on where, man, he really needed to pull the trigger, and he just held the ball way too long. And that is, as Andy pointed out on Twitter, been a theme throughout camp. Like the speed of the game certainly seems to be a pretty significant adjustment for him coming from Canada. But I will say, as he settled in, he looked nice. He looked good. I thought he handled himself well, led that scoring drive, and did some really nice stuff. As to which one they end up keeping on the practice squad, I think this next week is going to really tell the tale as far as who makes the most of this opportunity ahead of them. And if he can continue to build on this performance, I think he's got a real shot in that regard. But we'll see. You know, there's so many different kind of aspects that they'll be looking at. Abdullah, thanks again. How has Cox looked? Haven't heard much about him. He was out there for a bit today, and I think overall in camp he's had a solid summer, but certainly haven't seen any game-changing moments and or plays from him. But that said, I never really considered him that kind of player. He is a rotational piece, and that's most likely what he'll be counted on to be throughout 2025. So certainly they'll keep running him out there as far as this week practice, running with the 2s and 3s. But any kind of thought that anyone may have had about him challenging for a starting spot is kind of been put to bed. No doubt about that. Here's my handle. Thanks for the super chat, man. Isaiah Simmons always seems lost or out of position. Think he makes the 53? Shame for a dude who is so athletic for his size. I agree. I think this is another week where you did see some really unfortunate moments from him, although he did have a very nice stick at the goal line to keep the running back out of the end zone there in the first quarter. A play that did end up coming back on a penalty, but down in and down out, you can see why he hasn't stuck in the NFL anywhere, right? The reactions, the recognition, it just seems a step slow. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, he's trying to string out a run, or if he's trying to disengage from that block to like get a force on, or if he's turning his hips and trying to get upfield with a tight end down the seam, or if there's play action and he's got to recognize it. Just a step or a beat quicker does seem like he's thinking way too much and always kind of a step slow. And then even when he diagnoses things pretty well and ends up flowing to the ball, man, it's a 50-50 proposition whether he's going to make the tackle or not. That nice stick at the goal line notwithstanding. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I still think there's upside there as far as on special teams, which is what I talked about when they signed him. But I don't know if you keep him just for special teams, you know, knowing that he's maybe not a liability when he's out there having to play from scrimmage, but certainly doesn't give you anything additive. I do think Christian Welch has helped himself in that regard these last 2 weeks and made a case to move on and not keep Simmons and go with Welch, as they probably should have done last year and didn't. They brought him back, and I think he's done everything they've asked him to do. I think, you know, obviously, again, this week we'll do a lot to kind of sort that out. But, yeah, with Simmons, you certainly haven't seen it, whatever it is you need to see from scrimmage these first kind of 2 preseason games. Steve, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Cheers, Nags and fellow cheeseheads. Looking forward to see some progression from several of these dudes in the next week. I mean, that's the thing. You do want to build on performances, right? And you do want to see the elimination of mistakes and the same types of mistakes from week to week. And I can understand how frustrating it was for LaFleur to watch some of the same mistakes creep up this week that we saw last week. Although on balance, I think as a whole, the team did take a step forward. But, man, those offensive line procedural pre-snaps penalties, man, those, they got to, that stuff you control. That's not you being overwhelmed. That's not you getting beat. That's you beating yourself. You can't have that. It's too hard in this league to move the football without helping the defense out. Matthew Clark, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Evening, Nags. Best wishes from over the pond. I am pleased with the defensive performances in both the Jets and today's game. Brinson has grown on me. Yes, I thought Brinson really flashed in the second half today. Certainly see him being active and contributing probably in a rotational role, uh, certainly probably most of the season. But yes, I think he's really come on the last 2 weeks. He had a slow start to camp, a bit quiet, maybe a bit overwhelmed, but seems to be figuring it out, acclimating to the speed and physicality of the NFL game. And again, yes, I agree. I thought he did some really nice things in the second half. Now, got to go back and watch it. And I know that's a coach thing, but it's very true. You know, sometimes guys flash, but maybe they're way out of position and just happen to make a tackle or happen to get into the backfield while leaving one of their teammates out to dry, you know, considering what's being asked scheme wise. But overall, yeah, first blush, he looked active and definitely a positive afternoon for the rookie. Go Pack Go. How you doing, man? Couldn't watch much. Did Banks play? How'd he look? Banks did play, but not the Banks you're thinking of. Aaron Banks was on the sideline. In fact, I think it was 29 guys were sat down and in street clothes. So, yeah, no Aaron Banks today. Craig, thank you for the super sticker. Greatly appreciated it. Jeff Smith, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for the super chat. We had a great time in the Eeyore Zoom room. Thank you. Much happier. Disappointed with backup O-line in the first quarter. Other than that, pleased. My boy, number 16, won the game. Thought Simmons was good. I don't know what you were watching with Simmons other than that one tackle. But, yeah, Clifford had a nice run there. And I thought he made some nice throws where he's victimized by, you know, either his receivers or the defensive backs. But, yes, nice play on the what looked like a zone read option and keeping it and running into the end zone. You got to love it. Shades of your time there at Penn State, buddy. The backup O-line is certainly disappointing, but again, considering they're going against Colts starters, I give it a little grace. That's just me. Soder, how you doing? Thanks for the super chat, man. Number 2 O-line struggling against a Colts kind of number 1's D-line. Need to figure out what the number 1 O-line is going to be. Kind of think they will be able to run the ball once they work through the preseason. Yes, obviously, and that's why we talked about, right, all summer and then all week. That joint practice was 10 times more important for the Packers than this preseason game, as far as what you're talking about, sorting through the offensive line, getting good reps on film, and working towards figuring out who your starters are, you know, and where they're going to play. That work was done on Thursday. Today was much more about evaluating deep reserves, and that's the difference. Charlie, thanks for the super chat, man. Going to the game next week, not sure what to expect. Have been to a couple games before, not sure what to think. I don't think they can beat Seattle. They can absolutely beat Seattle. Don't think they can beat Seattle? Sir, this is Cheesehead TV. Of course they can beat Seattle. As far as what to expect, I think you'll see more starters play than we saw today. I don't think it's going to be a huge number, but I think you'll see more guys dressed next week than we saw today. That said, yeah, of course they can beat Seattle. Come on now. Braden, thanks for the super chat, man. Toast with the carry of the G to celebrate this victory. Carry the G on tap in Wisconsin. Coming soon. Coming soon. It's available now on tap throughout the Milwaukee area. We should really get that delineated on our interactive map on cheeseheadtv.com. But yes, there are plenty of spots in the Milwaukee area that have it on tap. A few in the Green Bay area, but more coming. No doubt about it. Brett, can you show us the merch you got at the Pro Shop during your recent trip? I will at a future date because it's all in another room. It's not here. And that would be some unfortunate content if I just left. Craig, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you, man. Here for my weekly therapy session. But seriously, anyone specifically that really stood out to you as making their case to stick with the team? Yes. I'm going to butcher his name because I never get it right. Backup running back who they picked up off waivers from the 49ers, who I believe was drafted by the Jets a couple years ago, Benaconda. I thought he ran extremely hard, did some really nice things in pass protection. Overall, I thought he had a really good game. I think he's making a case to stick on the practice squad. I don't think he'll crack the top 3 and or the roster, but I thought he played very, very well and gave you a lot of good tape to kind of debate over if you're the personnel group. To me, he's the one who really stuck out. I think a number of the receivers helped themselves as well. I think Julian Hicks, Cornelius Johnson, those guys did some really nice stuff as well. What else we got here, folks? Soder, what's going on, man? Backup center has become a hair on fire position. No, not really, because it's Sean Ryan. He's the backup center. I mean, everything else is like gravy, essentially. It's just, yes, you're looking at guys and hopefully one of them sticks. But when the season starts, Elton Jenkins is your center and Sean Ryan is the backup. And if you get past that, then yeah, you're in trouble. But so is every other NFL team if they're 3 centers deep. Like that, to me, that's not even a question. That's easy. Brandy Lewis, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. Don't know a lot in this crazy world, but I think McManus's job is safe. These preseason games make me appreciate McKinney that much more. Yes, McKinney being the glue on the back end certainly is noticeable when he's not in there. But as far as McManus, yeah, they're giving the kid from Ireland a shot, giving him some tape to throw out there and look at and teams to look at. And he was always a camp leg and he got in very late. So he hasn't really gotten to work with the guys a whole lot other than this past week. So not a real surprise to see a few misses. I think he's clearly got a leg. He's clearly got talent. Maybe they keep him as their international pathway player and let him kind of hopefully develop over this season. But yeah, he was never anything more than a camp leg. There's no doubt about that. Michael Nags, us on Facebook matter too. Yeah, Michael, I know this. I very much appreciate it. But when I see things like, can Pat Murphy take over for Matt LaFleur? I'm going to give you a guess what platform that was posited on, because it wasn't YouTube, it wasn't Twitter, and it wasn't Twitch. It was Facebook. And that's the level of comment and or question I usually get on Facebook. So while I appreciate the Facebook crowd tuning in, you got to up your game when it comes to questions. I'm glad to engage with anything like meaningful or in good faith, but when we're getting that level of question, come on now, Facebook. Let's be real. Abdul, thanks again, man. Any concern for a slow start with all the injuries? Well, the first 4 games will be our real preseason. I mean, that has kind of been the trend around the league for a number of years now. Yeah, of course it's a concern. You look at all the guys on the sideline on offense, man, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, try and get into 3rd and 3s, and then hopefully have some easy outlets for Jordan Love. But yeah, man, that's just part of the game. You can't control injuries. You can only control how you respond to them. So, as far as like the first 4 games, those are the most important. But to me, it's even a little more different this year because of the way this season starts with 2 games in 6 days, 4 days. I mean, it's such a quick turnaround. Those first 2 games, both being at home, both against conference and one divisional opponent, that there's going to be a lot of concentration on those 2 games in particular. I would suspect from the coaching staff. Curtis, don't know officially if Lloyd was injured. We did all see him get up slowly after that reception. I haven't listened to Matt LaFleur's post game yet. I'm sure he's been asked about it. Maybe it's out there on Twitter, but nothing yet that's been kind of official. And I didn't see anything officially updated from the team or from the press box, which usually means that there's not an injury. Maybe he just got, a little shaken up and is fine. But we'll see probably over the course of these next couple hours. Brett, exactly. Thank you. We don't worry about the offensive injuries. We only worry about our children. Correct. Because let me ask you this. Does worrying about it help it? Does that make it go away? Does that fix it magically and suddenly make Jordan Love and whoever's out there become suddenly in sync? No, it doesn't. So if worrying doesn't do any good, why worry? That's my philosophy anyway. Just feels like the vibes are off already this season. Oh, no. Come on now. Do you think all will be right if we get Jordan Dobbs and McKinney back? I mean, not all right. I mean, they're not going to go 100%. It's football. It's tough. It's hard. But the vibes are off? Come on, my guy. It's football. Yes, people are hurt, but people get hurt every summer. I talk about this every year leading up to training camp. Can we please dial it back on the sky is fallingness of every response to every injury? It is football. Guys get hurt. You have to adjust. Welcome to the NFL. Again, like the vibes are great, man. They're in a lab. If you're there at the scientific lab cheering on the scientists, then the vibe is great. And that's what I'm doing. I'm cheering on the scientists, man. It's all about perspective. man, you cannot be telling me that the vibes are off 2 preseason games into the 2025 campaign. Come on, man. I'm begging you. Have a beer, chill out. Things are going to be okay. I promise. Soder, you're not wrong, man. The O-line penalties were just so infuriating. Well, you saw Matt LaFleur, I'm sure, at halftime. He would very much agree. Now, thankfully, it seemed like they were a thing of the past in the second half. So hopefully that's a lesson learned, right? But yes, especially coming off of last week and then going into the first half of this week and seeing that continue, that's maddening. I was right there with you, man. I was throwing pillows, no doubt about it. But it's like I said, seems like lesson learned there in the second half, and hopefully that continues. You shall see. Okay, I love this. The vibes in the Zoom room are okay. Well, that's good. The Eeyore chat didn't go full Eeyore. I'm impressed. That's a step forward for the Eeyores of the world. I'm very, very happy. That's great. Ronald, I see what you're saying here. All right. The team has the same problem. They are way too loose on pass protection. In this game, it showed the problem again. Tighten coverage, and they will be a good team. I think you mean pass coverage. You say pass protection, which is an offensive term. I think you mean pass coverage. And I hear what you're saying because, yes, it was, annoying to watch zone after zone, very soft zone after zone being called. But that is them working on very basic drops. They are a vision-based defense. They play very little man. Last year, they were one of the league leaders in cover 2 and cover 3. That is who they are. Now, there's very little disguise. You saw a little bit of it towards the end there in the 2-minute situation. But it was ultra vanilla, and it has been for these past 2 weeks. I would not take anything you've seen as far as their approach to pass coverage with anything other than a gigantic grain of salt. Now, does that need to get tightened up once the regular season begins? Yes. And if we continue to see linebackers dropping well beyond the sticks and allowing easy completions over the middle for, third down conversions, Packer man will die. There's zero doubt. But I would caution on making any kind of sweeping proclamations as of right now, because it is very, very super hyper vanilla at this point, everything that they're doing. Injury update on Sorrell. Glenn, nothing official yet, only that it's a knee injury. They're not required to give us much when it comes to injuries in the preseason, so you probably won't get much of an update. I would suspect there's going to be some reporting around it tonight, hopefully, but nothing that I've seen from the team as of this moment. Look at Dennis here. What's up, man? The Zoom wasn't all yours. I was there. My take, the punter was awesome. Go, Pack, go. I mean, I did put out there, I think it was in the second quarter, maybe the third. Daniel Whelan is your preseason MVP so far. No question about it. Mr. JJ, could John Williams become their backup center once he gets healthy? That feels like a monster jump for a guy who has yet to put pads on and yet to participate in any way. I suspect he's headed for a redshirt year. That would be, I'm not going to say miraculous, but it would be a monster surprise. Let's put it that way. Soder, thanks again, man. Overall, they got better compared to last week, but the details were still kind of garbage. Is that a thing? Not really, but just fix it already. I very much disagree. I think there were a lot of really good things put on film and some great attention to detail. I get, like, sometimes the opponent wins a rep and sometimes your guy gives something up, but on balance, I thought it was a major improvement over what we saw against the Jets. Brett, that's not a terrible observation. Based on Sorrell, at least trying to get on the bike afterward means probably not anything structurally serious in the knee, maybe meniscus. Those pesky meniscuses, I tell you. Devil's Knot, you are 100% correct. Stackhouse looks like a dude. Man, there was a moment where I think it was towards the end of the first half, 2-minute situation, and he was quote unquote rushing the passer. And you're like, okay, you can see he doesn't offer a ton when it comes to pass rush, right? But man, that ain't why you have him out there. In every other way, he is a dude, and you can see he is going to be a valuable piece. I will be absolutely shocked if he doesn't make the 53-man roster. He does everything they ask him to do at a high level already as a rookie. I got to think he'll be in the rotation, especially on early downs, right out of the gate against Detroit. Now, we'll see what happens over the course of this week in preseason game number 3. But, man, I love this kid. I'm so glad they got him in undrafted free agency because, as you say, he looks like a dude. No doubt about it. Oh, my God. Oz, what's up? I remember when we had 6 preseason games. Could you fucking imagine? Can you imagine that now? Man, I'd run into traffic. Soder, no. Did Slayton offer a lot of pass rush? No, he did not. No, sir. He is certainly maybe not a 1-for-1 switch, but it's in the same mold. I will say I think Nazir is a little more athletic, though, which is fun. Evil Badger. QB wearing 19 should be cut tonight. Okay, well, let's just relax. No, he shouldn't. Woo, preseason overreactions in full swing. Absolutely love it. No, he should not. He should definitely learn from some of the things that happened, but no, he should not be cut. Oh, that's an interesting question, Brett. Can someone ask Halfley if he wants Gary to play 75% or more of the defensive snaps this year compared to like 55 last year? I think it was hovering around 60 to 65, but you're not incorrect. And that's something we've talked a lot about here on Cheesehead TV as far as the rotation. Will DeMarcus Covington actually have Rashawn Gary out there the majority of the snaps, which he was, as you point out, tenuously close to not being out there for last season? Yeah, I really hope that is the case. Give him more opportunities. Get him out on the field more. That to me, that needs to happen. All right, buddy, I'm going to have to get going. Cannot thank you enough for hanging out and talking Packers after each and every preseason game. One more to go, and then they're real. I'll be back on Monday with Packers Daily. We are dark tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a ton of content for you to check out at cheeseheadtv.com on the YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody chiming in today and hanging out and giving us your thoughts and feelings about the green and gold. I know sometimes it gets frustrating watching these preseason games, but I promise you're going to see a very different component once the regular season comes in a couple weeks. So take a breath, positive step forward today, and hopefully we see more of that next Saturday against the Seahawks. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll be back on Monday. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.